Hi everyone, welcome to Watch It Played Table Talk Back. My name is Rodney Smith, and in this episode we're going to take a look at your responses to the question, how do you decide when it's time to get rid of a game, and then what do you do with it? The first response comes to us from Mike of Lamplight Games, the producers of Space Junk. He says, I had War of the Ring and traded it for a couple of other games I wanted. It wasn't that the trade was unfair or that I was unhappy with the games I received. I just missed having the option to play War of the Rings, even if I would only get the chance very seldom. This is a funny thing, isn't it, about human nature? Because you only really know the value of something once you've gotten rid of it or lost it, and then you really want it again. And I think of myself going to my local game group, and I will agonize a little bit about, which game should I take? And I'll fill up a big bin of games, and then I get there, and it's only once I'm sitting down and I realize, man, I wish I would have brought this game. It would have been perfect for this situation. It's kind of silly, right? But there you go. Stasia Doster says, I hold an annual auction on BGG to thin my collection. It is hard to get rid of them, but harder still to find storage space for all of them. I thought this was a clever idea. Now, of course, once I heard it, I thought, I've seen people do this before, but it's not something that sprung to mind. I often think of math trades. This is an organized way of matching yourself with other people on Board Game Geek who are trying to get rid of games, but just holding your own personal auction where, you try to find people who will bid you good money and possibly even negotiate on how the shipping will be covered. It just seems like a solid idea. Thanks, Stasia. Marco de Martinez says, Hi, Rodney. I consider myself a collector. I get attached to the games I purchase. As well, I don't want my shelving to look bare. Also, I'm usually the host of gaming nights with my friends, so it's important to me to have variety. I get that. This is one of the many rationalizations I've used to hang on to games that probably I should otherwise get rid of. I'll tell myself, hey, maybe one of my friends would enjoy this, or one of the friends I have yet to make in the future would enjoy this. I think because I have succeeded recently in getting rid of some of my games, I may be overcoming that impulse a little bit, but I certainly relate to it. Shannon Trainer says, I have some games that don't really get played and would be happy to get rid of them. However, I would like to try to get my money's worth out of it, but the cost of shipping with a trade is prohibitive for my budget. Plus, if I'm going to be spending that much on shipping, for a few bucks more, I could just buy the game new as opposed to a used copy. So my games often find themselves becoming gifts. This is the primary reason why I haven't engaged in trading either. Just because of where I'm located, the cost to ship things is rather high. If I lived somewhere where there were more gamers closer, then it wouldn't be such a burden. And I do like my games in good condition. So if for just a few dollars more than the cost of shipping a game to trade, I can get a new copy, that seems to make more sense. And I think that's part of the reason why I didn't mind selling my games very cheaply to my friends at $5 a pop, because I didn't have a good trading option, and this was a way for me to, pass the enjoyment I had with those games on to somebody else. So Nick Houston says, at a local game convention, they have an auction every year. While I know I won't get a good price, I know that they'll go to someone who will play it more than I have been lately. But there are games I would never part with. Even if I rarely play them, they just mean too much to me sentimentally. Yes, this is the other big area where it gets me. Right here, or wherever that emotion happens, where I feel an attachment to the game and the experiences I've had with it, that I like having it on my shelf, and I like being able to, tell some of the stories related to that game if someone's over and they're looking at the games on the shelf, and I can say, this is something really neat happened when I played this game. Or even if I'm not sharing it with somebody else, there's just something locked away in here that I enjoy reminiscing about, and it creates a value or a feeling I have towards the game that I don't want to get rid of it. Something about that feels odd and strange and not entirely rational, and it really goes counter to the way I am in pretty much every other area of my life. But with games, there's that sentimental attachment. Daniel Palmy Fried Egg says, after I lost interest in Settlers of Catan, I gave it to my parents to get them to play something other than Yahtzee all the time. Daniel, you reminded me, I had the game Dixit, and I took it over to my in-laws' house, and we played it together, and we just had a riotous good time. And at the end of it, my father-in-law turned to me, he said, Rodney, would you consider selling me this game? I would love to have it. And I did. Now, this is a game I enjoyed and I liked having in my collection, but it was easy to get rid of it in this case because this was somebody who I knew traditionally was drawn to like card games, trick-taking games, that sort of thing. And here he wanted something that, in my opinion, was outside of what he normally played. And I was just excited to be able to share that part of the gaming hobby with him and feel like I had in some way expanded his horizons a little bit. So yeah, that's a neat way of getting rid of your games and I think feeling really good about it. Mario Curo said, "Hi Rodney, there are definitely some games in my collection that are stinkers, but the reason I keep them is because I spend much of my free time designing my own board and card games. And it's nice to know I have easy access to all those game components if I ever get an idea for how to reuse them in one of my own games." This is really an interesting point because I've done the same thing. And you reminded me of that. I had a couple of games I was just going to chuck out, and instead what I did was I pulled out the meeples and the cubes from them, and I have them in a little box, so that if I'm ever working on something, or even if I lose parts to another game, well then I might have some replacement bits, or I can use them in a little prototype design. Also, sometimes I'll find I get games where the cards are flimsy and thin. So what I'll do is I'll use a card from a game that I'm ready to chuck, and I'll just put it behind the flimsy card and then slip them both into a sleeve. And that way now the cards are sturdier and they handle use a little better. Gary Pearson says, "I shudder at the thought of getting rid of any games. I am too much of a collector as well as a player. Sometimes I like to just go in the game room and look at my game shelves. It's oddly satisfying just to gaze upon them." I wish I understood this impulse better. I have it as well, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense. And I'm not like this with other things, with most other things. But with games, yeah, there's a part of me that just enjoys going down, looking at my collection, and maybe even reliving some of the memories I had with some of those games and the good times I shared with my friends with them or with my family. And the idea of getting rid of that game, it makes me feel I'm almost getting rid of those memories in some way. If someone has a good article on the psychology behind this, I would love to read it, so forward it along. CT 2001 says, "My solution is research, a lot of research before purchasing a game. Therefore, I have no games that I want to get rid of." This is a very pragmatic response, and I agree. Doing a lot of research is a great way of limiting the odds that you'll end up with a game that really isn't getting played very often. I know in my case, I've done a lot of research for games and purchased them, and then for whatever reason, even though I felt it would be a good fit for my group, it just didn't click. So even with some good research, you can end up in those situations where there's just games you probably should get rid of. James Nichols says, "I'm terrible at getting rid of games. When I was younger and my collection got too large, my mom made me get rid of one game for each new game I brought into the house. Parents can be so cruel. The problem I have is that even if I haven't played a game for years, I worry that as soon as I get rid of it, I'll want to play it again. This has actually led me into buying the same game twice on occasion." Now, I know we kind of addressed this before earlier, that I don't want to get rid of something because I might regret it later, but I thought the story of your parents was so interesting. I just want to talk about that a little bit, James. On some level, I kind of respect what your parents did. I think that we can get so much stuff that we take it for granted and we don't manage it well. We hold on to things that we don't need and can be put to better use somewhere else. So I think I can understand what your parents were maybe trying to do there. The funny thing is, though, isn't it, about parenting? You try to do something like that to instill a good idea, and then you can create this nervousness, this anxiety in your kid because now they're worried about losing something, so they hold all the more onto it, and you create this whole other problem on the other end. And I think parenting's got to be one of the greatest challenges that way, because even when you're doing something for the right reasons, it can create this unexpected result. But what you say, reminds me, talk about buying a game twice. I've done this too. I had a small collection of games because I really enjoyed gaming when I was younger. And then I fell into this pit of despair, shall we say, where I realized, I just don't have people around me who want to play these games. And can I really pursue these and enjoy it if I'm just playing with my children, if that's my only audience? I want something more than that. And I want to make clear, it's not that I didn't enjoy playing games with my children, but there were certain games I couldn't play with my children. And I felt like if I wasn't going to experience the hobby fully, I was always going to feel like something was missing. So I got rid of a bunch of games. And then, shortly thereafter, Watch It Played happened. And I connected with a whole bunch of people, all of you, that I could share this gaming hobby with. And it just rekindled everything. It rekindled my passion of playing the games with my kids as well. And I ended up going out. I actually didn't purchase Arkham Horror again, but a kind viewer sent it to me, knowing that I wanted it again. So yeah, sometimes the games we get rid of do come back to haunt us in a good way, All right, last one here is, and this is something I just want to close on a positive note about. Gabriel Conolito says, "If I ever have to sell a game, I would rather give it to someone with the interest of starting that person in the wonderful world of board gaming. And I certainly think that's a great use of our games that we aren't using. If you can even just give them away to somebody. You know, one thing I thought about doing, if there's some games I just can't get rid of, but I think are decent, I might just donate them to the local library and maybe help my local library start a little collection of board games for when people come in there. And maybe they see something on the shelf and go, well, what's this? You know, I might even be able to put a sticker on it saying, hey, we have a local game group. If you're interested in learning games, you can come out to that. So there are certainly many different and creative ways we can come up with to get rid of our games, and for all kinds of good reasons. So thank you guys for sharing those with us. We also had a video response from Barry that I want to share with you as well. And until the next episode, thanks for watching.
Simple answer to this is you should get rid of games which are utterly crud. And there you go. Thanks for watching. You're still here. Oh. For me, my pitfall is dungeon crawlers. Let me just... I have this little baby. And I like it. I love it. And I have all the expansions squeezed into here and broken, unfortunately. I also have this. This is heavy. Also, I have this. And all the expansions for this. And I've also recently bought this. I've been wanting Descent for a very, very, very long time. But there is also, ooh, I forgot about this one. This, which is a dungeon crawler kind of thing, but it's different. And we are playing this at the moment with my daughter, and she is well involved in the world. Dungeon crawls are my thing. They each do something different, and I'm not going to throw any of them away. They are my heart. But the thing is, I look at other games like deck builders or worker placement, and it's like Caverna's just come out. The new version of Agricola. Am I going to buy that and keep Agricola? No. Just because Mr. Vassal says that it's an excellent game and he's replacing his Agricola, I'm very happy with Agricola and I can't see me replacing it. So I don't feel the need to go and buy Caverna just because it's new and hot off the press. So that's my logical decision not to go and buy that. I'm not going to buy another game which is a Battlestar Galactica game. I'm not going to buy another game which is a Firefly kind of game. If there was another dungeon crawler that come along and did it better, maybe. I better get back to work. Thanks for watching. Okay, sorry, a slight little correction. I want to show you this. Not my pants, but this is my Asterix collection. And as you can see, these board games are classics like Monopoly and Battleships and Cluedo. So I have no need to own any other version of Battleships, Cluedo, Monopoly, because this is one, it's a collection, and two, these are beautifully done. So there you go. Don't keep too many versions of Monopoly.